This rear leaf spring is designed to be a bolt-in replacement for your 1999 to 2018 Silverado or Sierra 1500. Constructed just like an OEM part, this takes all the guesswork out of refreshing your truck's rear suspension and will have it driving like new in no time. We do a lot of lift kits and performance-oriented suspension components around these parts, and while those are great, sometimes all you need is a good old-fashioned replacement. This is a rear leaf spring that is designed to fit right in place of your original. Now, it's worth noting that these are sold separately. As you can see, I've only got one up here on the table. So if you are going to replace both at the same time, which I would highly recommend, you will need to buy two. Featuring the same four-leaf design as your original, as the name implies, the load rate here is 2,235 pounds, so it's designed to carry the same amount of weight as your original leaf spring as well, which should get your truck feeling like it did the day it rolled off the assembly line. So the ride quality will be back to factory original, and you'll be able to haul heavy loads or tow with ease. Again, just like your original spring, this one is constructed from steel and it comes pre-assembled just as you see it on the table and ready to bolt in. Now, springs don't tend to wear out or break for a long time unless they're subjected to severe duty or severe weather conditions. But rest assured, this is made and tested just like your original equipment, so it should last you a good long while. Pricing comes in at about $425, which is about the going rate for something like this, though you will end up saving a bit by going this route rather than going through your dealer, especially if you decide to install it yourself. Speaking of which, the installation process is going to get a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you a bit less than 2 hours to complete. While this is designed to bolt right in without the need for other modifications, the process is a bit involved. However, with some time, patience, and a little bit of know-how, you can tackle this job at home and again save yourself a bunch of money in the process. We're going to walk you through that process right now by heading out to our shop, so let's get to it.
For this install, you'll need various pry bars, an impact, various ratchets, a 10, a 12, a 21, and a 5/16 socket, a swivel socket, various extensions, a 15, 16, and a 21 millimeter wrench, various hammers, and a exhaust hanger removal tool. Today we're going to be installing leaf springs on our Sierra. Let's get into it. First, we're going to be removing all the exhaust bushings that look like this on the exhaust. One here, two there. There's one further down, which you'll see once we get to removing it. I recommend you use one of these tools to remove the exhaust hanger bushing. If you don't have one, you're just gonna have to put your thumb here and kind of push it out. Now, for these last three, make sure that you have something supporting the main muffler, because once we get down there to take that fourth one off, that's gonna come falling down. We wanna make sure that there's something there to hold it. So we do not have to remove the fourth exhaust hanger after all. It depends on what year, body style your truck is. So if you have enough room to fit a socket where you need to, just like we do right now, you only have to remove those first three. Now you want to get a jack to support the axle, just for when we start taking stuff off. You don't have to worry about it later, it's already there, it can already fall down. So in this case, I'm using a pole jack, but you can use a floor jack, whatever you have at your disposal. And then we're going to loosen these four nuts at the bottom of the U-bolts. We're going to be using a 21 millimeter socket and an impact. With this last one, make sure that you loosen it very slowly. And then once you get it to a point where you can loosen it by hand, you're gonna support this lower piece with your hand, loosen that all the way, and pull this out. With that lower piece removed, we can go ahead and remove our top two U-bolts. Then we're gonna take a 15/16 socket with a swivel extension and a ratchet, as well as a 15/16 wrench. We're going to loosen this nut and bolt right here. Now we're going to take a 5/16 ratcheting wrench and we're going to take a 12mm socket with a ratchet. We're going to loosen this bolt and nut right there. Now we're going to take a 10mm socket with a ratchet and a 21mm ratcheting wrench. We're going to be loosening this nut and bolt right here. So now that we have this loose, we just want to put this nut, loosely thread it back on the bolt just like that. After that, we're going to take that same 10mm socket with a ratchet and a 21mm wrench. We're going to loosen this right here. We're going to pull this off and set it aside. Next, we want to take a rubber mallet and hit out this bolt right here. You might need to push up a little bit on what, you might need to pull down a little bit on whatever you have jacking up the axle. I think right there is about good. We can finish hitting this out. Now that we've gotten to this point, you want to grab a extension. Doesn't matter what size it is, as long as it's relatively the same size of the bolt. We're going to place it right here and continue hitting this the rest of the way. Now that we've gotten to this point, we're going to take a pry bar and our same hammer. We're going to place the pry bar right here and continue hitting the bolt till it comes out. Once we've gotten the bolt to this point, it's the farthest it's going to go back without any upwards pressure. We're going to take another pull jack. We're going to place it under the leaf spring just to put some weight on it so we can get the bolt the rest of the way out. You may run into this issue, you may not. If you do, this is how we can get the bolt the rest of the way out. So you may or may not have to switch it up here with a metal hammer. If you do, be very careful to not mushroom the end of this bolt out. Now that we have the bolt hit most of the way through, we're going to take a pry bar, put it on top of the leaf spring right here. And we're just going to wiggle it while we have our hand back here. You should be able to grab it, wiggle, and then pull it out. This is probably going to be one of the hardest parts of the installation. Just take your time, and you can always use some lubricant if needed to help this slide out. Once you have that bolt removed, we're going to lower these two jack stands and lift up the leaf spring to move it so that we can pull out one of the bolts on the drop shackle to remove the leaf spring. After that, you're going to take a pry bar, you're going to put it between the leaf spring and the jacking block, and we're going to pry down on it to move the jacking block out of the way. And you may have to lift up a little bit on your floor jack. And we can pull out our jacking block. Then you want to lower this jack right here so we can lower the leaf spring and pull it forward. Next, you're going to get a really big pry bar, and we're going to pry down between here and here on the leaf spring to move it this way. Just like that. Then you're going to place your pry bar in a similar position right here. We're going to give it some outward force so that this pops up and out. After that, we're going to place our pull jack under the leaf spring to lift it up all the way past the mount. Once we have the leaf spring in a position where we're able to knock out this bolt, we're going to knock it out with a hammer and pull out the leaf spring. Now we're going to pull out the leaf spring. Now it's time to put the leaf spring on the truck. I would recommend that you do get an extra set of hands, or you can put it on here by yourself by lifting it up on the ground and flipping it upside down. So pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to align the rear part of the leaf spring with this drop shackle and line it up with the front part of the mounting bracket. So I'm going to flip it over and do both of those things. While installing this, I do recommend putting your floor jack under the leaf spring when we get it all situated. Now we're going to take our bolt for the rear drop link and we're going to put it into place. But before we do that, we have to move the leaf spring a little bit forward and down so we can fit this in on this side. Now it's time to put the through bolt through the drop shackle. And for this, we're gonna need an extension, a pry bar, and of course, the through bolt. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line this up with the hole through the leaf spring so I can get it level. Once I do, I'm going to pry down on this, slide this in, kick this part out. One thing I do recommend doing is undoing the shock to give us some more room to fit this new leaf spring in here. You're gonna need a 21mm wrench and a 21mm socket with an impact. Now that we have that loose, it'll give us some more room to play with to install the new leaf spring. Now it's time to install the through bolt. And reinstall your nut. Okay. Now we're going to bolt up the front portion of the leaf spring. So for this, you're going to want to lift up on the leaf spring, push it back just a little bit. We want to make sure that we use our jack to line it up with the hole right there. And we can reinstall our nut. Now we're going to reinstall this lower metal piece under the leaf spring. Then you want to start lifting up your jack so that these two pieces are touching. Now we're going to reinstall the shock bolt. So we're going to place it in on this side. We're going to twist our jack, slide this through, tighten both of these down. We're going to be using a 21mm socket with an impact and a 21mm wrench. After that, we're going to reinstall our U-bolts with this lower bracket piece. I'm going to stick our U-bolts up top. Then we're going to take our lower bottom piece with our nuts and we're going to hand screw them in. Then we're going to tighten down these 4 bolts with a 21mm socket and an impact. After that, we're going to tighten down these 2 nuts and bolts with a 10mm socket, a ratchet, and a 21mm wrench. After that, we're going to tighten down this bolt with a 15/16 wrench, a 12mm socket, and a ratchet. Lastly, we're going to reattach all of the exhaust hanger bushings. So one right there, there, and there. Okay. After you've done that, remove all of your jack stands and complete the same process on the other side. Alrighty, that about wraps up this review and install of the rear leaf spring 2,235 pounds for a 1990 to a 2018 Silverado and Sierra 1500. Thank you for watching, and remember, for everything Sierra, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.